Welcome to the Christian Atheist, episode number 36, the strongest of all arguments for atheism. In Surprised by Joy, C.S. Lewis calls these lines from the Roman philosopher-poet Lucretius, quote, the strongest of all arguments for atheism. Nequaquam nobis divinitas esse paratum naturam rerum, tanta stat predita culpa. Had God designed the world, it would not be a world so frail and faulty as we see. Surely, in broad terms, Lewis is correct, and the argument is both powerful and persuasive, based as it is on a direct, intuitive sense of the cosmos as we experience it. From this basic kernel, it can be expanded to encompass most, if not all, of the objections brought against divine authorship, including those of our scientific age and the difficulties of Scripture. For me, in this more expansive acceptation, it retains the expression of my most profound doubts concerning theism. And I think looking more closely at it, we can understand better the gulf between theism and atheism. Perhaps my favorite of the new atheists, including Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Daniel Dennett, was Christopher Hitchens, a hero of mine when I was an atheist, and someone I deeply respect. It is from Sam Harris, incidentally, that I take my outro for the Christian Atheist podcast, now available on all major platforms. In a debate with Jordan Peterson, Harris complained that Peterson, with his psychological explanation and defense of the biblical stories, gave license to the idea that you can have your religious cake and eat it too. You can have reason, respect for science, a 21st century worldview, and be a Christian. I believe this statement to be correct, and I made it my motto for the Christian Atheist. Thank you, Sam Harris. Christopher Hitchens was a man of courage, humility, and profound intellect, unafraid to stand for what he truly believed, no matter who disagreed. Regrettably, he died of cancer in 2011. I sincerely miss him. To my mind, he always came off as deeply human and humane. In a famous debate with William Lane Craig at Biola University, it was Hitchens who, I think, came off as the better man, though Craig carried the argument at the cost of straw-manning the atheist position, as Christian apologists are wont to do, in my experience. To be fair, many atheists straw-man Christianity as well. The debate, which took place on April 4th, 2009, remains worth viewing. It is available on YouTube, and I would encourage my listeners to watch it. I was struck, as I rewatched it for this episode, how clearly Lucretius' complaint encapsulates the essence of the atheist case as Hitchens made his points. The choice between theism and atheism rests on value, not just on rationality or evidence, though both play a role in the choice. To see the problem in this light is of great value for the Christian, as it presents the issue in the form with which faith has struggled since mankind has existed and conceived of God in the Western way. How is belief in a good God compatible with the undeniable existence of bad or evil in our world? The judgment that bad or evil pervades our world is universal, even uncontroversial, though exactly how we explain this evidence differs according to our metaphysical commitments. I separate out evil and bad here for important reasons. Both are part of the realm of value, but evil is a moral valuation, a subset of the more expansive notion of value. Value is both objective and subjective, as for instance, water is good, something valued by someone. Water, though, is not morally valued. Bad water is not evil. Water has value for cats, dogs, and human beings. We conscious creatures live inhabit a valued world. Value is that which causes there to be a world for us. We can perceive nothing without valuing it at some level. This is another way of stating the phenomenological dictum of intentionality, that all consciousness is consciousness of something. We can, then, judge that something is bad in two senses, the moral and the non-moral, or, let us say, aesthetic sense. When a story is poorly written, or a car poorly designed or broken, we say that it is bad in this aesthetic sense. When Hitchens and other atheists complain, then, that our universe is chaotic, random, arbitrary, complex, vast beyond imagining, that it is, and note the change in the tone of the descriptors, full of extravagance, capriciousness, wastefulness, cruelty, and incompetence, they are echoing Lucretius on both levels, the moral and the aesthetic. They are, that is, judging the universe for failing to be good. Nor are their complaints groundless. The evidence, understood from their position, powerfully confirms their understanding. The universe, Hitchens complains, if it is designed, is bad. A good universe would not appear as, one, badly designed as it does, and two, as morally corrupt as it does. For the atheist, reality doesn't measure up to what it should be, both aesthetically and morally. The aesthetic attitude, then, results from a human judgment of the world, a valuation. The universe is bad because it should be other than it is if it were good. Hitchens himself makes this claim explicitly in this debate. Quote, "And if it's the work of a designer, then there's an indictment to which that designer may have to be subjected." And one of Hitchens' books is entitled, "God is Not Great." Atheism, then, is founded upon the human judgment that reality, being, is not good. I am intrigued by atheism's judgment of being, and I would like to pursue what I perceive that judgment to indicate about today's atheism. Both the Christian and the atheist acknowledge badness in the world as a matter of human judgment. Western theism faces the difficulty of accounting for this badness in a good God's world. This is the perennial problem of human reason for the Western religious tradition. We've tried, I think, to face it squarely. The problem of evil has been given no small press, and theodicies are not lacking, even if we've never really settled the issue to anyone's full satisfaction. And the atheist position is not shy about exploiting this weakness by judging our inadequate efforts. Nevertheless, on what basis does the atheist judge the world at all? I might suggest that whereas Judeo-Christian theism struggles with the aporia of evil's existence in a good God's world, the problem of evil, atheism has an analogous problem of good in a meaningless cosmos. To the extent that they embrace good or value as anything other than epiphenomenon, I suggest that they also embrace God. What atheism denies is the existence of the supernatural. That is, it positively asserts that nature is all there is. The problem with this assessment by atheists is the very existence of the judging itself. To stand in judgment of being, of reality, as a whole, requires a standpoint outside the whole. In other words, the judgment that being is good, the Western theistic position, assumes a divine perspective. Likewise, the atheist negative judgment, at the very least, points to a perspective which it must logically dismiss as impossible. It is more, though, than mere perspective, as judgment implies a standard by which we judge. From where does such a standard arise? From nature? How does a standard against which nature is found deficient arise from the positive being of nature itself? Surely, then, we must admit that human consciousness transcends the natural, if it can take a perspective on nature and apply a standard against which nature itself is found deficient. Human consciousness itself, then, from the perspective of naturalism, appears to be partaking of the supernatural, of that which is beyond the natural. We might claim on behalf of the atheist, then, that human consciousness is sui generis, unique. This, though, is precisely the position that the Western theistic tradition has asserted from the beginning. And it must now be explained how it is possible from the anti-supernatural assumptions of atheism. Another perspective on this same point is to assert that the sui generis nature of human consciousness, however it arose, gave rise to the divine perspective. Human beings, that is, are divine. Again, though, we find that Western theism has gotten there before the atheist, as Jesus himself asserted that you are gods with a little g. Another way of affirming that the divine nature has been given to us by God himself. And it is this very capacity that allows human beings to arrogate to themselves the divine prerogatives, which is the very essence of sin. The very existence of value as a basis for judgment seems to require a miracle. And that miracle seems necessary for the entire atheist critique of Western theism, as indicated by Lucretius. Check out our podcasts, The Christian Atheist, where faith and reason fuse in the incarnation, and Simple Gifts, the written word spoken for you. Available on all your favorite podcasting apps. You can find more great content on our YouTube channel at John and Jenny Wise, where you can join the discussion, comment, like, and most of all, subscribe. Or stay up to date on Facebook at J&J Wisewords. Finally, to book an occasion, go to wisewordsforyouroccasion.wordpress.com. All these links can also be found in the description below this video.